Rolling.
We rolling.
2023.
What's happening?
2023 was blapping. Don the Blaptist, 1/3 of the Watch Me Develop podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting here with the other 2/3 of the Watch Me Develop podcast. It is 2023, y'all. To the right of me, you know who it is. None other than my cousin brother, John Butcher Jr.
It's a new year. Let's get things rolling.
Rolling. And then to the left of me, man, you know who it is. The inventor of Ergo Dog, Ergo Leash, everything Ergo that has to do with your canine, so you can stay fine. My boy Stephen Joshua Bonds.
Hey, what's up, fam? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Merry New Year.
Merry New Year.
Hey, man, we back here in the familiar place, man. But you know, though it is a new year, man, the program remains the same. You know what I'm saying? We might change the technique a little bit, but the goal always remains the same. And so that's to remain consistent, keep pushing forward, and you know, watching ourselves develop through this journey. So we want to see y'all develop as well, man. So again, keep tapping in with us, man. We thank you for rocking with us. We're already approaching a full year of the WMD podcast.
Dang.
You know, we obviously been doing something right, man. By the grace of God, we still here, still pushing, still pressing. Mind you, while we've been on this journey, we wanted to stop a few times. There's things that have come up that have given us great excuses
Facts.
to stop. But hey, you know what? We don't use them excuses, though. We wake up every day. We got a chance and a choice to use a plethora, a variety, assortment, kind of like them boxes of donuts that you like, an assortment of a variety. We have excuses every day that we wake up, but we choose not to use those excuses. We choose to make adjustments, keep pushing forward, and execute on what it is that's in front of us.
31 flavors of excuses.
31 of them. I don't know how many spices, original herbs and spices did the Colonel have?
11, 13?
I don't know. It was something. There was a variety, though. There's a bunch of them. So, nah. but nah, keeping it real, man. There's just things that are going to come about in our journey that are going to make us want to quit. We'll have ample reason to. And not to say that you need to give in to them, but there are often things that come about that are like that make you want to quit when it's really just a kind of a check engine light or a signal to let you know, okay, it's time to take a break, right? Yeah. And so, you know, just want to encourage you that if you're there in that spot, you find yourself in that place right now, even though it's the beginning of a new year, make sure you guys listen to what's going on. Not listen to your circumstance, but just be aware and be present, be where your feet are, and make sure that you are taking care of yourself because you are a human being, not a human doing. And that's all we hear a lot of times in this whole thing of personal development and trying to keep ourselves encouraged and trying to make ourselves be a better version of who we are and be all that we can be and all that stuff. We hear grind, work.
David Goggins.
24/7.
Don't sleep. Sleep is for suckers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
While it is to an extent, is you still have to use wisdom and be wise about what it is that God's placed in front of you. So,
and it's understanding seasons too, man. Because I mean, like, I think sometimes, like, again, it could be a comparison thing where you think, well, I should be doing things like this person over here, and it's like, well, you're not in that season like they are.
Yeah.
Or it's like, oh, well, I should be making money like them. It's like, bro, you're 21, they're 45. They've had 20 plus years to figure things out.
Facts.
That's why they're so successful.
Facts.
And so understanding that and making adjustments for your own life is what is going to keep you going.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because we got the hoop league on Mondays, and after the game, I was hollering at my OG who his birthday was on the 11th. Shout out to Man, and he just turned 43.
Yeah.
And you know how it is when you have like younger people in your mind, they're kind of like ingrained in whatever age you met them in. Like I still think of like Jericho and Wisdom and Ivy as like prepubescent teenagers. You know what I mean? But they're like look like grown. They're grown now. You know, they look like grown adults. But it's the same thing even with him. And when he told me he was 43, I couldn't believe it. He was like, "Yeah, man, I'm getting older. I got to do stuff differently." And I was telling him I just got out the hoop game, and I was like, man, people have been telling me that too. I said, I feel like sometimes people put that on you prematurely. And I was like, but how real is it? And he was like, well, when you get older, you have to act with wisdom, And he was saying, like, maybe look at leading up into this game, you should have. If you didn't, he was like, you probably stretched more than you would have when you were 16 or 18 years old. And I was like, dang, man, that's true.
What is stretching when you're 16? What do you mean? You just go out there.
Right, exactly. You feel me? You just, y'all trying to hoop, you just throw on your shoes, throw on your shorts, run outside. But no, it's real. And I think that's very true and something that I'm starting to kind of like take in stride in whatever it is I'm doing. Like, okay, I'm getting older now. What wisdom can I apply to this area in life, So I was stretching days leading up into that game, but things are changing.
You definitely got to use wisdom. That's something that I found out, like, 2019? 2019 was the last time I did the Winter Warrior. Mm-hmm. Did Winter Warrior in 2019. I decided since the year before I'd done Novice Strongman, and I was like, Novice Strongman was a little, even though like I didn't like kill the whole thing. It was my first time ever attempting to do strongman, but I wanted to challenge myself. But I also had a little bit of like young man pride when I went into it, because it was funny is like I did the transition, like it was at a funny place in my life where I was transitioning from my 30s into my 40s, which I didn't realize. Okay, the Masters division is 40 and older, so I was like, oh, bet that's I can still compete, have a challenge, but not like be thrown and thrust into like a heavyweight where I'm like, right, like where I'm not even ready for that. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, so let me do this. So I'll get in here.
Matt Webb.
Shouts out to Matt Webb, man, on all these dudes that are out there competing. But nonetheless, man, I was like, okay, I can do Masters because I'll be the young guy in the Masters. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I've just turned 40. Okay, I make that threshold. And I was like, I don't need knee wraps. What are those? Elbow sleeves. What are those? But I need that, man. I tell you, when I got done with that that competition, bro, I was like, what happened? I felt like I got hit by a Mack truck. It took me like, man, I don't know. It took me probably about at least like just a month and a half to not feel sore in all of my joints after that. Yeah. And so that's when I like kind of learned. I'm like, okay, this age thing is like a for real thing, especially if you're not, dialed in on your diet and your nutrition. You're not dialed in on a regular, program and regimen and everything. And so that was the wisdom thing. And so as I've been getting older, I've been learning, like, especially even with like Jericho and him learning about his body and going to PT and stuff. They're like, man, listen to your joints, listen to the joint. Yeah. And so for me, it's the same thing. Like, I've been learning to listen to my body and make sure that I'm not like, just in my head thinking, because I did this before, it's gonna work this time. So I learned, like, for instance, when I get up and go to the gym in the morning, I have a short amount of time, and that my body hasn't completely woken up even once I get there, right? Yeah. And though I got to be out of here at a certain time, I'm not going to rush the process and put myself at risk of injury. So, like, okay, that's why I got the garage together, and I say, okay, this is how I'm going to set it up. I'm going to go here and do a lot of my accessories, a lot of the other things, a lot of, like, the warm-up stuff, just the general physical preparedness stuff when I'm at the gym. And when I want to do like my maxes or I'm doing my heavy stuff, I'm gonna do that at the spot. Yeah. So listening to my body, because, man, dude, it takes me like, it might take me a whole 45 minutes of that hour that I need that I have at the gym, or the hour and a half that I have at the gym, to actually warm up and wake my body up.
Bro.
As opposed to where it was before, I could do like a 10-minute, 15-minute little stretch and warm up routine, and then I could jump right into my working sets.
Yeah.
I'll mess myself up. You know what I'm saying? So it's using wisdom as you get older, man, and, you know, not putting yourself at unnecessary risk because of your ego.
Bro, that reminds me of, you know, I feel like people probably used to do it more so back in the day. I need to get better at it, but warming your car up, just starting it before you hop in and go in the morning. And I feel like it's the same thing. You know, back in the day, I used to just start my engine up, you know, and go, you know. But now it's like, nah, start that thing, let it run for a good 10 minutes, you know what I mean? Then get in and drive. And like you said, it's wisdom. Because I think another factor is, like, how often are you doing whatever it is that you're doing, too? Mm-hmm. You know, like that game, bro, I was for sure sore. I'm not running like that. You feel me? I'm not jumping like that, waving my hands like that. But sometimes I still hold myself to those old standards of, shoot, bro, when I was younger, you feel me? A decade ago when I was really hooping, it's like, nah, bro, let's change it. Let's shift the expectations. I told y'all from day one, it was like, let's not get injured. You know what I mean?
Bro, that was my very reason for not playing, because I'm like, I have no time to have any pulled hamstrings. A buddy of mine, another pastor friend of mine, I think he tore his meniscus last year in the same league.
Really?
So I was like, that was my scared straight story. I'm like, okay, all right, it's time. Like, I work out at the gym. I'll stay active. But I'm like, I'll do a couple layups. That's about it. Like,
yeah.
Dude, so it's funny that you say that. So, like, you know, we're at the beginning of a new year and everything, and that brings out all the cliches. Like, typically, the gyms are going to be packed.
Yeah.
Everybody's new year, new me. New Year's, what's your New Year's resolution? You know, all those kinds of things. And so my question I want to pose, you know, I think that it's a legit question when we look at things and we kind of look at our track record. And I'm saying that not necessarily just ours, but I mean like us as humans, period. Is a New Year's resolution like even really relevant? Or does it seem like it's just kind of like a thing that we've been programmed to believe that that's what we're supposed to do every time the calendar changes, and it ends up like kind of just setting us up for failure? Or does it, you know, like, what do you think there's any relevance to having New Year's resolutions, or what is it?
I think for the most part, there can be relevance to having New Year's resolution, but I think the unfortunate part becomes that rather than people allowing the resolution to be a spark to the flame, they make it the fire itself. So the whole part kind of becomes...
Wait, roll that back and say that one more time.
I said rather than making it the spark to the flame, they make it the fire itself. So at the fact that it doesn't produce any warmth, it doesn't produce any purpose, it ultimately dies out by the next month. So come February, it's like, what happened to your New Year's resolution? Like, it was an idea that I left back in the end of December. And so why I said it can be something that can be used is the fact that, okay, it should be something that sparks you into doing something new. Or if you're trying to be healthier, it's like, okay, here's an idea. Let me put down the plans that I can execute to make this idea come to pass. And so another thing too is like, it can kind of be convenient to let the new year be like the moment in which you make a New Year's resolution or like a new idea happen or execute something new. But it doesn't always have to be January 1st. It could be March 7th. It could be August 15th. It could be whatever.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get this whole concept of time like, okay, well, new year. Okay, how about new day?
Yeah.
New me.
Come on.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I've been watching like different guys. You know, there's always different kinds of philosophies and everything. Of like, I don't know what the guy's name, but he keeps popping up on my TikTok. You know, TikTok will send all kinds of stuff. He's talking about how he does his work day. So rather than doing an 8-hour work day, he basically handles it in 6-hour blocks.
Yeah.
And so he'll do like
Ed Milet, I think it is.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong. He does like a 6-hour work block, and then he does like either he rests the rest of the day and then does another 6-hour work block.
Yeah.
And then he has like however many days in the week that he works.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm more efficient doing it this way than I would if I did 8-hour work days.
Yep.
And so for him, although, you know, I'm not in the school of that like time is merely a concept. Like I'm not that guy.
Are we even here?
Right, exactly. Right. But I think that it depends upon how you work it and you not letting that resolution just be the idea that keeps you going. Like, you got to put some action behind the plan rather than just saying, oh, you know what would be a good idea is if I lost weight and got healthy. Like, all right, bro, what are you doing to get there?
Yeah.
Like, what are your real goals? Like, are you just saying, okay, I want to get healthy. What does healthy look like to you?
Yeah.
Because what I've realized is if I told you how much I weigh, you probably wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But maybe a certain weight for me might be better for me, but it wouldn't be good for you.
Yeah.
Right. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, okay, putting those goals down, like saying, hey, I want to get to this weight by February 10th. I'm going to get to this weight. If I don't get to that weight, what are the things that I'm doing that are keeping me back? Oh, you've been eating a little bit too much cheat meals? All right, maybe you need to cut back on them cheat meals. Or maybe you're not eating enough food. Maybe you're thinking too much.
Yeah.
And you're not eating enough when you need to be getting more protein. You need to be eating more calories to burn that fat.
Yeah.
Because what I've learned is like, shouts out to my stepmom. She thinks that like I'm like cheating on my Apple Watch because I burn a lot of calories when I work out. Like I'll burn like, you can ask Donald. Donald just recently got his Apple Watch too. I burn anywhere between like 400 to 800 calories for a workout.
Dang.
Or like if I'm really going ham on a leg day, like 1,000.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what am I doing that's gonna work best for me and to keep me going?
Yeah. Yeah. Dang, bro, you said a lot. I feel like you if we were to pull that apart and put that down into steps, like you just set the whole guideline. Right. But the first thing I wanted to mention that you said about it was is August 15th your birthday?
That's Judah's birthday. Mine's the 18th.
Okay, yours is the 18th. So I
randomly named like people in our family's birthday.
Right. So many of them.
I was like, wait, hold on, okay. I thought I caught that because I was talking to the homie Des the other day. And I'm pretty sure it was Des, and she was saying that there's essentially like 2 days for everyone to like reset. One of those days is our birthday, right, where we sit back, we reflect on what happened throughout that year and how we want to change moving forward into the next year of life. You know, and then there's a day that everyone gets at the same time, which is the new year, when you sit back and reflect like, man, what happened over this last year? What do I want to do moving forward? And I think in regards to like, you know, convenience or a spark, I think both of those days are very beneficial, you know, to sit back, reflect, and set new milestones. So I think that a New Year's resolution is great for that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But what's past the New Year's resolution? And then you started talking about, okay, plans, you know, goal setting, actionable steps. And then I felt like within all that and how you set those actionable steps determines like what you actually get done, you know, and how deep you go in that plan, how intentional you are with that plan determines, okay, did that New Year's resolution stay back there, you feel me, on day 1, or did you actually see a day 2, day 3, a day 4, day 30, you know what I mean? But something else I feel like is really dope that I've realized recently, because I just did like a little clip of a reel for Nadia's birthday last week, and I didn't even peep it, but there was a 10-year period in that reel. Right? From 2011 to 2022, so an 11-year reel. But a decade was captured in that time. And I was looking at it, I was like, wow, we went from friends to having 2 kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a decade. And it was crazy to think just how much happens over the span of a decade. And it's like, man, I wonder what life would look like if I was to plan, you know, for a decade, or, you know, and then take it back, plan for 5 years, take it back, plan for a year. And that's where we are now with the New Year's resolution. So I think there's a lot in that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just like to see action. But what about you, Don? What you think about the New Year's res?
Man, I just personally kind of, it's weird for me because this is like the first year. I used to kind of, I don't think I've ever really been down with the whole New Year's resolution, so to speak, but I do like have something similar to kind of what you were saying, like as far as trying to plan out your year. Because I know, like, for instance, at the beginning, like this is the first year that we as a family didn't sit down and do like a vision casting or a vision board. And mainly the reason why is because I want to say it was like maybe a couple of years ago, that we as a family had done that. We had sat down, we had written some stuff out, and like just kind of went through like this kind of sectioned everything off as to like, okay, what are we believing God for? What are we thankful for? What are we willing to sacrifice? And what was the other one? I can't remember what the other one was, but how does it line up with the word, right? Those were the four things that we had kind of broken up our vision for the year into, and we hit like a few of those marks that year, and so the following year, which would have been like, I guess, last year, at the beginning of the year, we sat down, did the same thing, and we're just kind of like, okay, moving forward, like what are some things that we want to see God do in our lives? What are some things that we want to have happen? And what was crazy about it was like, we literally, for the first time, kind of like at the end of the year, were able to look back and see like, wow, like this is like really starting to materialize and come to fruition, right?
Yeah.
In the sense of like the kids getting older and starting to really like be intentional with the thought and the planning of the direction that their lives are going to be heading in, and seeing that things are actually starting to actually sprout into those directions, right? And seeing how they've each dipped their feet, so to speak, in those particular fields and areas that they plan on heading in that path. And so, and then even me and Raquel, us too, like just in our lives as far as where we're trying to head in over the course of the next, several years and stuff like that. We were like, okay, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's continue the consistency. Let's get better at being diligent and being more intentional and trying to trim the fat, so to speak. Like, let's get rid of some unnecessary things and like really dial in and focus on what's in front of us and how to be better stewards of it, right? One of the things that I came across was like, you're not running out of time. Because I know for me, man, you guys are still young. I'm still young, but I'm an older younger, right?
Yeah, it's all relative.
but as I'm getting older, and I'm saying that with the sense of my awareness of my eldership has come even more so with the loss of my father last year. And knowing that I'm the patriarch of the family, the thing about it is that I'm constantly aware of this sense of urgency, right, to get things done. The sense of urgency that I can't afford to drop certain balls. The sense of urgency of knowing that time is of the essence. And so for me, one of the things that is kind of helped me out over the course of like the last several months is like, man, you're not running out of time, you're wasting time. So find out what is causing you to waste time. Is it the constant scrolling? Is it the constant searching and constant trying to learn? No, like take what it is the knowledge that you've gained already and apply it. And start applying it, because there's something when you apply stuff that God tends to cause to multiply, right? When we start applying it and we put into action, God multiplies it. And so for me, that's one of the traps that I can fall into, because I do like to know a lot of things, but at the same time, I also know how important the action part of it is. And so for us, we took a different approach this year. We were like, let's continue to keep bathing in prayer what it is that God has put in front of us. Continue to bathe it in prayer, because the thing is, at the end of the day, we live right now in the age where the big thing is manifestation, right? Manifestation. And so it's funny, like whenever I hear that word, I know that it means more than that, but whenever I hear that word, I'm always triggered to think of, I believe it's in Galatians where it sucks, the manifestations of the flesh are. Right. The manifestations of the flesh. And typically that's what we're hearing when we see people talking about manifestation now. They're talking about this new age sense of thing, and it's crept into the church a little bit. And the thing is that what the Lord kind of revealed to me the other day is like, don't allow the error of people's proclamation of manifestation to diminish your faith in what you believe me to do, what you're believing for me to do. Because I'm still the God of miracles. I'm still the God of great things, and I still have called you to great things, not pocket-sized things. So still believe for me that the difference between what we're doing when we're believing in faith is that with manifestation, it's like you're eliminating God from the equation, and you're putting it on your shoulders. You're putting it on what your ability is. Whereas, like universe. When we know that, when we know that God, who can do exceedingly abundantly above all we could ask or even think, right? Mm-hmm. We know that He's a God that can do that. We can keep asking, we can keep seeking, we can keep knocking, and He'll do it for us, right? But the thing is that being God being a good Father and who He is, He will never give us something that will not be beneficial to us. Right. And a lot of times the things that we want and we desire are things that won't necessarily be beneficial to us. Not everything that's good to you is good for you, right? Right. And so what happens with this whole philosophy and concept of manifestation is like, oh, well, God's a good God and He won't deprive me of anything. You know what I'm saying? But you're not willing to go to Him and ask Him for the thing and be willing to hear a no.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's the thing is like we have to trust that God's plan is great. And I honestly believe that God gives us glimpses of what our future looks like, right? Of what He's called us to. And so my thing is that, you know, we as a family, we've made the resolve that we're going to believe God for big things, great things, and work like it depends all on us, but we're going to pray like it depends all on Him.
Facts. That you know, the really interesting thing about having to prepare for a message is like, maybe this is just me, because you know where I'm going, but it's just like, anytime I prepare for a message, I want to make sure that I'm preaching something I'm actually practicing. So like a couple months ago, I think it was last month, we did men's breakfast and we talked about a renewed vision. And one of the things that has kind of inspired me for this year is kind of taking a whole new outlook on prayer, obviously, and planning. And so when we pray, you know, for those of us that are believers, when we pray, you know, we're not just praying trying to prescribe to God what we think we should get or what we need. And, you know, we're not just kind of, you know, guessing and hoping that God will give something that we need or want to. But at the same time, we trust in God that when we're praying and we're listening, that He's going to give us the vision that we need. But then He's given us the facilities to be able to plan and execute the vision that He's given us. And so my thought process kind of becomes like, I pray, I get the vision, I plan, and then I execute, and then I repeat. So what I think the beauty of our faith is like, we have the grace to be able to try God and make mistakes. Like, hey, God, I feel like this is you. I'm going to try to operate in faith. If it wasn't faith, God, I know you'll still be pleased because I'm trying to try my best to trust in you. And as you grow in your relationship with Him is where you're like, okay, that wasn't Him. I was tripping. It was me. It was my flesh. Yeah. But I just think it's important that, you know, like you were saying before, that we bathe it in prayer and not be afraid to go back to the drawing board, so to say, and say, man, I need to go back to the secret place and revisit it. Another thing too is like once you've been given like this vision, this idea, you need to be praying more than ever because it's not your vision and your plan to begin with.
Absolutely.
And so what I wanted to ask you guys, and kind of going back to the whole reason this whole gym metaphor, what I noticed at my gym particularly, because of the bad weather, we didn't really experience as much newcomers to the gym. Maybe people signed up, but they didn't show up. So how do you guys respond to the rainy days when it comes to the New Year's resolutions?